Wow,
Yeah, that's
4
nice.
cans? It's been a while since that happened.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Welcome to Sick Burn Jane, a Podlander Drunkcast podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
That's Janine. I remembered this
Amelia.
time. And that's Amelia. Friend of the show, Amelia Buzzell, is joining us today. And it's not because she threatened us.
It's
Well,
not.
It's not because she.
It's
I think
not
we preempted
not
that.
because she threatened us, but it's not because she threatened us. We are talking about one of two 1996 Emmas. I learned today. I've been casually saying the 96 Emma, and then I googled it and I was like, oh, there are two 96 Emmas. So instead we are talking about the Goop Emma.
Goop Emma. Not Emma Goop.
Emma.
Not
No.
Emma Goop.
Goopma.
Goopma.
Goop.
Oh, and I also
that
said it
sounds
wrong.
like Tony Soprano.
Yeah,
Like,
no, you're
and-
right.
Yeah,
That's
we
how.
can't.
Goop
Also,
Emma.
I said it wrong because this is the beginning not of Emma. It's the beginning of Emma. Emma.
That's so it's spelled with 2 M's, 2 or 6 A's.
I say 3 M's and like 4 A's.
And also
Okay.
an N. Emma.
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 Enema.
Stop matchmaking Emma.
not enema.
Not enema. Although, you know what? Now it is.
She is a butthole.
Nema.
She is a
Nema. Nema.
No.
Yeah, we are talking about the Miramax Emma, or the Goop Emma, which is a damn good one. And as we usually do, let's run down who knows what about this. I have seen it. I think I've seen it more than once, but it's been at least 15 years. Janine, you're a no, correct? You had not seen it.
Nope. Never seen.
Julie, you had not seen it.
Nope.
Janine, how did you feel about the casting for Byron Orangetop?
Who was Byron Orangetop again?
He doesn't exist. Amelia, I'm just wondering, have you ever seen this movie?
I'm wondering if someone can do some math for me real quick.
Great.
All right.
I watch this movie, I would say, an average of 4 times a week from the ages of like 9 to 13 or 14, and then probably cooled it down because then I had like, extracurriculars to do, so I had to stop watching Emma so much. So then probably down to like a couple, 2-3 times a month through probably like high school. College, I would say like once a month, and now as an adult, I would say twice a quarter. So
So-
how many times is that?
It's
It-
definitely over 100.
Oh, I mean, if the numbers you gave for just 9 to 13 are correct, that's 832 times.
Yeah!
So you've watched it well over
I
1,000
fucking know
times.
this movie inside and out, top to bottom.
Okay, so some questions. You have a digital copy. You have purchased it through the Dark Lord Bezos.
Yes.
But you also have a put upon DVD.
Yes. And it started with the VHS.
Right. And do you still have the VHS?
It might be at my parents' house, but maybe they talked me into letting them get rid of it.
Did you watch it enough that the tape started to go funny? Because that happened to me with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the
Oh,
Ooze.
nice. Yeah, I remember like the opening sequence with the paper mache blue marble that we're all standing on to co-opt one of Julie's jokes. Was starting to get a little like if the music was like da 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 da, it was a little like da, da,
Was
da,
auto-tracking-
a little wobble. Yeah.
Auto tracking was kind of always engaged with that VHS.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking about what we're calling part 1, which for us is the paper mache blue marble through the dueling pianos. A staple of anyone's college bar going experience. Dark Days.
Allison, what song do you think of first when you remember your dueling piano days?
Oh, it's always Billy Joel.
I was going
Yeah,
to
it's
say,
always
isn't it
Billy
Piano
Joel.
Man?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And here's the thing. In ye old college days, I was friends with a guy who did dueling pianos because he was in a band I was in called The Kids Are All Right cover band. So we went to see him play a lot, and those people are incredibly talented. The problem with dueling pianos is not the dueling pianists. The problem is all of the people who are like, yo, can you play AWOL Nation? Like, that's the problem.
Oh.
Where all of a sudden you're taking a trip to Margaritaville when what you really want is to take a trip to Margaritaville
Right.
because you can't take it anymore.
So it's not the dueling pianists; it's the dueling penises.
It's
'Cause they're all
the
dicks.
it's all the dicks.
All the dicks.
And also some
No,
let's
what's
it's not and as with buttholes, that's not a gendered term when I'm talking about the downsides of dueling pianos.
No.
That's the problem. The problem is they just suck. It doesn't matter. All genders in a dueling piano bar can be
Suck.
dicks. They
Yeah.
suck. Lots of buttholes. Speaking of buttholes, I'm so excited for Janine to start his Emma journey because, as you may remember if you listened to Emma Solved, Janine has no fucking clue. None at all.
Specifically has no clue about Mr. and Mrs. Elton.
Yes.
He had a little bit of a clue of the Harriet situation and all that.
Yeah,
but he
'cause he
knows
read-
nothing of these buttholes.
I don't know what you read, like 20 pages or something.
Yeah, 20 pages, and it was just way too complex. For me.
Well, it's hard because Emma is such a butthole, and you're not used to the protagonist in an Austen novel where you think like, oh, this is going to be a nice, fun read. You're not used to her protagonist being buttholes. Usually they're surrounded by buttholes, but Emma, total butthole.
Emmett starts out pure butthole.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that probably was the confusion part because as I was reading, I was trying really hard to give her a lot of benefits of the doubt because I'm like, you can't be the butthole. You're the main character.
She's the butthole.
You should.
Yeah,
I mean,
butthole.
her heart is in the right place. She's just so misguided and so conceited
Yes.
that she cannot.
And so entitled.
Yes.
Like-
that she cannot comprehend the damage that she is doing. And she thinks, and she's too, you know what is a problem? It's a problem of overconfidence, which is, it's a real plague among the rich people, as evidenced by the now completely diminished hotness of one Aaron Rodgers. Rich people can be real stupid because they
Like, Emma would like run for office without any experience.
Oh, yeah.
just
But she would.
because- Yeah.
She's Betsy DeVos.
no,
my
she's
God.
not. You take that
Well, I
back.
mean, okay, you're right. You're right. She's not
Oh.
that bad, but she does have that kind of money. She has
She's
yacht
got
on
that-
yacht money,
Yeah.
right? So she would run for office and get elected because she's got all that money.
You know who she
Yacht
is?
on
She's
yacht money.
Ice
Such a good
Town,
reference.
Ice Clown, Clown Town,
Frown
Brown.
Town.
Crown.
Yeah, she's
She's
that-
Bobby Newport.
She's
Yes,
Bobby.
she's Bobby Newport.
Only she's a lot smarter than Bobby Newport. Bobby Newport's
is.
an
That's true.
idiot. Give it to me. Give it to me. I want it. Give it to me.
This is my Afghan hound, Raclette. I bought Raclette last week, and I was like, "Would you like any Afghan hound?" I was like, "Oh no, wrong." But yeah, she's Bobby Newport.
Yeah, she's Bobby Newport. She's the worst, but you love her. And any good adaptation of Emma, you have to go, God, you suck. Why do I like you so much? Which I think
have
this
to
one
say-
accomplishes.
She's winning me over slowly as she softens a little bit, and also when we're given the opportunity to see the actual good deeds and stuff that she does, like when she went to visit that sickly woman and all her children, and so you get to kind of have little valves that release the butthole a little bit. But the Gwyneth is mean.
Oh, she's mean.
And like my other Emma knowledge is Clueless. And Cher is kind of bubbly and kind of mean, but she's not as mean as Gwyneth.
No, she's not.
Like, Gwyneth is like, "Ding, eh," and I was surprised by that.
Because she doesn't...
The Aspen Factor.
Yes.
The Aspen Factor, yeah. And the problem
Off
is
the charts.
she doesn't think she's being mean. She thinks she's just telling the truth.
Right. Maybe that's what makes it so difficult, because you're just like,
borderline
oh.
insidious. But then I think that this adaptation does a really good job of sort of making sure that you remember that it's the problem here is that she's so rich that her head is just entirely up her own ass, which is not the money's fault. But it's not the money's fault. Like it's but like
It's
I
enabling
assume you're all, or at least a lot of you listening, are watching Succession. Being rich is a scourge, man. That will.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, Yeah, me too.
I would be miserable on a private helicopter.
Yes.
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what?
like
I
her
would
mom, like Emma's mom dies when she's 5. And that's when Miss Taylor comes in. We were trying to figure out how old Miss Taylor is. If Jane Fairfax is considering being a governess and she's about 21, and Miss Taylor has been with the family for 16 years and the book starts. So yeah, you were right. Like she's Miss Taylor, Mrs. Weston.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're dear Miss Taylor no more. You're dear Mrs. Weston now. How happy this must make you. But yeah, so Emma's mom is dead. Like, and even though the relationship with, I'm just gonna call her Miss Taylor. Let's be real. Miss
Yeah,
Taylor
let's
is
do it,
my
Miss
Sears Tower.
Yes.
Like,
Mr. Woodhouse too. Mr. Woodhouse will never
Yeah.
call her Mrs. Weston.
Never.
That's such a great.
Everybody
character.
else is calling Miss Taylor guaranteed rate field, and
And I say Comiskey.
and I say Comiskey.
but yeah, so like even though they're like sisters and they've been together for so long, like at the end of the day, Miss Taylor is still like an employee and can't really afford to tell Emma what's up. Her dad is so like emotionally dependent on her for everything that he's never going to tell her. Like, but where's the fault in you? Is a thing that he says in the beginning of this. Again, I'm just going to be quoting this movie at you, and you're going to
Please.
have to just like cut my microphone.
Please
No,
do.
that really
Um,
helps me because you're like, it's like because you do such a good like quote just now and impression. I was like, oh yeah, in front of the fireplace. I remember that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, you're deepening Janine's experience.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you. And I don't remember what the age gap is between Emma and Isabella, but it's enough that Emma has been mistress of the house since she was like a teenager. Which on one hand, yeah, everyone was married as a teen. You were kind of mistress of the house, but like it's a big house.
Yeah.
So like there's no the power structure and the emotional power structures are just so in place. Like I mean, Mr. Knightley's kind of the only person to try to take the piss out of her. But
Which she
But-
obviously enjoys until it stops being jokey and fun, right?
yeah.
Which is
Oh, that's coming up.
which brings us. I mean, already we've seen some of that. Jeremy Northam.
The archery scene he had some.
Jeremy Northam, best known in this podcast as the hot villain from the net. He
Yeah, he was.
Mozart's ghost. He
God, I really need to watch that movie again.
You really don't. It's bad. But you know what?
No,
Just
it's
watch
worth
it to
it.
see her order pizza on the internet in 1993 or whenever it was.
I'll then order Domino's as she's doing it. I'll be like,
She when the archery scene, you can see that sometimes he's just like, nope, you know what? I can't anymore. I love you, and also
I gotta walk away from you right
but
now.
I need a break.
I gotta walk away from you before I say something too real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he already says, like, upon my word, Emma, 'tis better to be without sense entirely than misapply it as you do.
that was such
Which is
a-
already such a burn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Although,
can I-
oh, go ahead. Please.
Oh,
I'm talking
well,
too much. Please go, go, go,
no,
go.
no,
go, go.
you should
No,
be
you go.
talking
No,
because I'm going to learn more.
Janine, talk.
This is an aside about the archery scene. Those dogs were behind the targets, assholes.
Oh!
Why were they doing that?
I did not notice that.
And there's that
Jesus
great scene when
Christ.
it's like the end of the argument before they go have tea, and Emma like misses. Oh, gee, I wonder. She misses the target in matchmaking, and she's using an arrow. Could that be symbolism? I don't know. But then
That's
there's
the
that moment
fiery
where, like,
cross.
off, it's the fiery cross. Off, like out of frame, you hear a dog whimper, and then Mr. Knightley looks at Emma, and this is a line quoted in my family like basically every day. Try not to kill my dogs.
Seriously.
I missed that. I must have been too busy talking to Neil or talking to the crowdcast about it.
I was like, she was missing so much at the end there, and then those dogs popped into frame, and I was concerned. That's
Rightly
my
so.
aside.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Because you just
I
know
really-
Emma thinks she's a great shot.
Yeah.
This adaptation does a really good job of underlining how many of the problems that Emma has are related to ego, because she has been told her entire life by everyone around her except for Mr. Knightley that she is without flaw, that she is good at everything, and that the only other person who gets that kind of phrase is Jane Fairfax, who as a result she's like blech.
Yeah.
In her defense,
I don't wanna meet
in her.
her.
Defense, Jane does seem like, as we meet her in the story, and I won't give any spoilers as to why she might be acting this way, but she does seem like she's maybe not the best conversationalist at the moment, and is maybe not particularly socially inclined to hang out with Emma.
it feels like her mind is on
Other things.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember if this is in the book, but it's definitely in the
You don't
2020
remember if it's
version,
in
which
the
I
what?
also-
Hold on.
The
There we go.
Ooh, I like your turn on that.
Well, I had to bring Winnie into it. Like we're still kind of close.
We're close to Halloween.
Halloween was a week ago. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember if it's only in the 2020 or if it's also in the book. But Emma says something about like, I do not understand why everyone thinks that Jane Fairfax and I should be such good friends simply because we are the same age.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's established. Yeah, she's mediocre at everything she tries. She's a noodler, dare I say. And as a fellow noodler, I'm like, I understand you.
She could
I
probably
understand.
be very good at any number of things, but she just
Yes.
doesn't actually try very hard and doesn't stick with anything long. There's a detail in the mix where Emma has all of these plans. It's Miss Taylor, the Sears Tower, and Mr. Knightley are having a conversation about the relationship between Harriet Smith and Emma. And initially, we see the after in this first hour, but initially Mr. Knightley is like, this is bad. This is a friendship that's just going to make Emma feel that much more superior, and she's going to do more harm than good to this girl. Psst, he's correct.
He is right.
But Mrs. Weston is like, no, I was talking to her. She has all of these plans to read. They're going to read together. They're going to learn things. And Mr. Knightley's like, yeah. I've heard that one before. I'd like to introduce you to the stack of library books that I got from the library yesterday that I will almost certainly be returning unread. It's see also magazine subscriptions. She is
Yeah, there's
a
even
noodler.
like in the opening. Oh, sorry.
No, please, I'm done.
Yeah, she's a noodler. Like there's the opening scene where she's presenting the paper mache little globe as a wedding gift, and Miss Taylor says like, "Your painting grows more accomplished every day," and Emma responds something like, "It would be better if I had practiced more as you had urged me to." And then later, like right after that, when like Mr. Knightley shows up and Emma's moping around the house because oh no, mommy got married, he says something about like, oh yeah, she was like, I'll miss that she could like walk with me and talk with me and urge me to better myself. And Mr. Knightley is like, well, that should be no different because you always did exactly as you pleased. Yes, but I shall miss her urging me.
Yes.
Like no one can motivate Emma except for Emma.
Mm-hmm. And Emma has no reason to motivate Emma.
Emma is
Yeah.
She's already sitting at the top. She's already sitting at the top of the pile, baby.
And I think she's one of those people, and I am also one of these people. So this is both a sick burn and a self-own. But she's one of those people who feels accomplished by deciding she's going to do something that's going to better her, right? She makes
yeah.
the decision
Yep.
that she's going to do something, and that gives her the self-satisfaction that she needs. So then she just doesn't do it because I'm definitely going to go to the gym tomorrow morning, so I get to have cake now. Like that.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Yeah, me too. I'm leaning to the side to reveal the trombone that I stress bought during the pandemic and have barely touched. Jane Fairfax would love to come in with her trombone and roast me later.
Glenn Miller the shit out of you.
This explains so much. No wonder I and we are so fired up about Emma. We're in this picture.
I feel like
You don't
maybe
like it.
the pandemic has made us all slightly more like Emma and also a lot more like Miss Bates, which now we should I'm definitely more like Miss Bates now. Julie just almost fell out of her chair because she feels that truth so hard, right?
I do. I had an entire Miss Bates meltdown at my work picnic like 2 days ago. And while it was happening, I could feel it coming out of my mouth. And I'm like, stop. And it just kept coming out.
Miss Bates was the person who kept reading.
Blah, blah,
Miss
blah,
Ba-
blah, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah,
a
blah,
napkin.
blah,
Wait,
blah,
I
blah,
forgot
blah,
your napkin.
Napkin, sorry.
blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
The last date I was on a while ago, I would totally Miss Batesed it. I was just like, I think I talked for like 15 minutes straight and was like, this isn't going well.
I Miss Bates it every time I attempt to make a time travel joke on the podcast, and then it doesn't work. So then I overcommit, and then it still doesn't work. I'm always Miss Bates. At this point, we have to pause for a programming break because if I don't give Amelia the space to talk about her love for Sophie Thompson, the podcast is never going to get back on track. So let's talk about Sophie Thompson. Tell us about Sophie Thompson, Amelia.
Thank you so much. I did organize my notes where there is a Miss Bates corner, so thank you for leading me into this corner so that we can live our lives.
Maybe the best part in
Friends.
the movie, frankly. We're going to talk about Alan
well-
Cumming, but she's maybe the highlight of the movie for me, and also I think maybe... You've seen the 2021, right, Julie? So you know who plays Miss Bates in that one? I think that's the sort of Mrs. Bennet of Emma, where no matter what, no matter who is playing it, they're going to kick ass. But if you are really good, you're definitely maybe the best part of the movie. And I think that's true here. Sophie Thompson.
Sophie Thompson, friends, did you know that Sophie Thompson is the sister of Emma Thompson? Nemesis.
Friend of the show.
Andrew, what's his name? Friend of the show.
She's not a friend of the
And
show.
I swear I didn't
She
dream
would be,
it.
though.
Although if I did dream it, good on me, honestly. But I tried to find this before we recorded and I couldn't. Years ago, I'm almost certain I read an interview with Emma Thompson where she just goes on about how like everyone thinks that I'm this great actor, but the real actor in the family is my sister Sophie, and like she just like loves her so much and is like just dedicated to gassing her up. And it's deserved. She's great. Also, it's my understanding that is Sophie Thompson like in a Harry Potter franchise or something? I don't know. Get that money. That could be a lie. Someone tried to tell me, oh yeah, that Miss Bates is in some franchise that I don't partake
She
in.
looks a lot like Shirley Henderson, who plays Moaning Myrtle.
Moaning
but I'm
Myrtle.
gonna
Okay.
check
Well,
right
someone
now.
lied to me. Okay, thank you. But yeah, no, Miss Bates is just everything about it so perfect. And something I learned this week. So I was like, well, you know, Miss Bates is great, but Mrs. Bates is also killing it. Mrs. Bates is the mother of Emma and Sophie Thompson.
No fucking way.
It's what's her name? Like Philidia Law, something. And also when this movie was made, Mother Thompson was only like 56. So like they really bonneted her into old age, and I'm just so everything about it. Pork mother.
She is in Harry Potter, but very briefly, or like for only one role. Deathly Hallows Part 1, Mafalda Hopkirk.
Oh, Mafalda Hopkirk.
Does that? Sure. That's another.
Sure.
Doesn't I don't know. I don't know Potter well
I
enough.
think
Yeah,
I bet she
definitely-
got
I
some
think
money.
Mafalda Hopkirk might be the one who gets eaten by the snake from the inside out. I'm gonna check.
All right.
However, she's also Sophie Thompson, keeping busy. She was in 2 episodes of
She's
Sex
very busy.
Education this year, a Netflix hit. She did a British miniseries called Sandylands. That seems like that was probably a hoot. She's done the British soap circuit. She was on Coronation Street. She was on EastEnders. These are things I only really know about because of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, but
I wonder what part she played on EastEnders, because that would be really fun to like watch her play.
she was. I know
like
she
that
was a
kind of-
villain because I clicked on. We're on IMDb, 6 wins and 6 nominations. Villain of the Year nominee for the British Soap Award in both 2007 and 2008 for EastEnders. She was also nominated for Best Exit. So, God, I bet she got hit by a double-decker bus and, like, split in half. Or something, you know what I mean?
God, Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
Or like she got a speech before she got carted off to prison, something like that. She was also in one of my favorite movies, which I don't watch very often because it makes me very stressed out. But an all-time great cast, Gosford Park. Let me just tell you some of the other heavy hitters in Gosford Park. Eileen Atkins, Bob Balaban, Charles Dance, Stephen Fry, Michael Gambon, my friend and yours, Richard E. Grant, Tom Hollander, Derek Jacobi, Kelly MacDonald, Helen Mirren, Jeremy Northam, hot asshole. Clive
Nightly.
Owen, Ryan Phillip. He's not a heavy hitter. Kristen Scott Thomas. Sorry, that wasn't even a burn. That's just a statement of fact. Kristen Scott Thomas, Maggie Smith, Emily Watson. The list goes on. It's a really good cast.
Wow.
And a really good movie if you haven't seen it, but it's tense. It's an upstairs downstairs situation.
It is a great
and she's
movie.
in that. She's just so good. It's
just so
amazing
good.
that anyone manages to almost and probably actually steal this movie from Alan Cumming, but she does. But it's really close. Because good God, Alan Cumming, he's so good.
He's
very
so
good.
so obsequious, like in
And
a way that Collins is not.
And
So
apparently,
it's interesting.
we haven't seen in this first hour. We haven't seen him do other stuff.
When you meet his wife, that's taking it to another level.
Oh,
You'll see. Don't worry.
Mhm. She's
The person who plays his wife, who I'm very excited to show up, is another actress I really love, who, by the way,
She's so
Juliet
wonderful.
Stevenson, also does an audiobook of Persuasion that makes Persuasion a zillion times funnier than I thought it was, because Persuasion is always the one where I'm like, that's not very funny. But it's very funny when she reads it.
this movie's cast is
Oh, yeah.
amazing. Tony Collette.
Tony
isn't it?
Collette.
Ewan McGregor, isn't it?
I
Oh
was
my
so
God.
excited. I
Jesus.
missed Julie's reaction because it was when I was off camera.
Oh, I lost my
Good.
mind.
Good.
I lost my mind. And
I was-
when
yeah.
she first showed up, I was first of all excited because I love her so much. But then I was like, is this the right part for her? And she has proven that it is.
Well, that's because
In fact, what
every
she has
part
proven
is the
is
right part.
she can play any
Toni
part.
Collette, every
Yes,
part is the
she
right
can play
part.
anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah, I love her.
Though I think I also saw, because when was Clueless was certainly after this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No, yeah, like 2 years,
was-
96, 97. Do you know, Amelia?
I think it was also
Really?
96.
Same year? In 96, the year of the Emma.
Wow. Well, because I was gonna say I felt
No,
like
95 predates. I'm sure they were being made at the same time, but yeah,
Yeah.
predates by a year.
Well, okay. Well, in my memory of Clueless, I was suddenly like I could feel the same vibe, same energies, but it's Toni Collette. She's not Brittany Murphy. She's different.
But
Yeah.
But Brittany Murphy is another idea. You're right, where it doesn't matter what part they're in; they're always going to be
Yeah, she just kills
the
it.
best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just always going to be
but now I just want to see Toni Collette go rolling with the homies.
I want that too.
Homies. I mean, we do get that when she says, "Oh, Mr. Elton's eyes were brown."
Has brown eyes too.
That
with
was
the
really
puppy.
cute. That was really cute. As she
really
like felt the paw.
Oh yeah,
she
when
was like feel
when
the
Emma's
paw.
like,
I think,
"Feel her paw," and she goes, "Wah."
Eh,
"Don't you
But I-
understand? I have a broken
Yeah.
heart, and it's your fault." Emma, for me, the point where I was like, "See, there's a good person hiding inside you." It's when she is rightfully mortified by the position she puts Harriet in, and then this is very faithful to the book when she apologizes and says that I thought I was going to have something to teach you, but really I feel like if I learn anything from you, I will come away better. And the way that Paltrow plays it is so sincere, and it doesn't seem like bullshit. Where in the book I was always like, yeah, but
Is
I don't think she
lying?
is.
Yeah.
I think she's like, wow, I could not have dicked over this woman more completely, and she is not even a little bit angry at me. She feels bad. How is that possible? This is a really good person, which is true. Also, point in this adaptation's favor, I would die for Robert Martin. We've had maybe 2.5 minutes of screen time total. I would die for him. I would
He's
run
so
into
cute.
traffic for him. He's the best.
when he pulled the hat out to shield her face in the rainstorm, I almost died.
that was
Yep.
adorable.
It was
And
so
she's already
cute.
soaking wet, dude. It's not gonna help. But
Yeah. No, but he's just being
So
gallant.
gallant.
Like, oh, here.
It's
Sorry.
the fucking gesture. That
Yeah.
guy.
That's it.
Just a
killing
gem.
it.
Mhm.
And then later when she's drying off at Emma's and telling her the story, of course, and they're like the scene's wrapping up, and Emma's like, "Oh, please stop talking about Mr. Martin." She does say, "It was awfully kind of him to warn me about the flooding." To which I say, "Flooding where?"
I know.
I do love that immediately after that, though, we do see that Emma, not paying attention to the likes of Mr. Martin, gets caught in the flood.
Yeah.
That was very funny.
Yeah.
And can we talk about Ewan McGregor's Willy Wonka look?
It's
Yes.
it's doing something for me
Why?
because he's ridiculous, and I love a ridiculous Ewan McGregor.
It really is. And somebody I can't remember if it was Amanda or Kristen in the Slack said it was also like Tim Burton Mad Hatter
Yeah.
energy. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, somewhere in
Mhm.
between those two. Definitely Purple Velvet is
Oh,
involved no
he's
matter
a
what.
fop for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Jane
Mhm.
Fairfax. This is true in the book, and it's true in every adaptation I've ever watched. Jane Fairfax deserves better. Oh,
Yes, she does.
she deserves better.
Oh, but see, it's Janine doesn't know what we're talking about.
I don't know what
Sorry,
you're talking about.
spoiler.
But I mean,
Spoiler.
you've already hinted that this Churchill character is
trusted.
Not a hill anyone should die on, as it were.
Unfortunately, someone gets hoisted on that petard.
Just the tip, though.
Just the tip. Yeah, Janine, I don't know how much of this clock, but like, okay, right? So, Mr. Weston's Frank Churchill's dad, as you know, and his wife died when Frank was an infant, and so got sent off to the Churchills, and so he has Leslie Churchill because his aunt and uncle were like raising him in London.
And also his aunt and uncle are loaded.
London is they're loaded.
Loaded.
London is 16 miles away. In other adaptations, someone, I think it's Knightley, is
Knightley.
like, what the shit? Frank went to London today to get a haircut. It's 16 miles, but it's also like a day trip, right? It's within a day's trip of his goddamn dad, and he has never been to
back.
Highbury.
Well, and this is of the culture of, because like even when Emma was complaining that now Miss Taylor is no longer around, she's like, she's a half mile away. Like that's the culture of that time, wasn't it? Like you just don't go.
But we're talking like
But
20 years. He
here's the
never came
thing.
back to
He
see
is
his dad.
The reason Emma doesn't know him is because he had never come back.
Never.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing they cut out of it. But in the book, he writes a letter saying he's going to come visit, but he can't right now because his aunt is sick. Oh, he can't right now. He can't right now. He can't right now. It would like was planning on coming, but he can't right now. He can't right now.
And Mr. Weston always gets so excited about it, like,
Yeah.
and he always is looking forward to it, and then something always
And
happens to stop it. So
Didn't
we
go to
know
his
before his
wedding,
entrance that he's
right?
kind of a dick.
Because we start the whole movie
yes,
with Mr. Weston's
didn't
wedding.
come to the wedding with Miss Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
He's
No,
a piece
I
of
understand.
shit. He's a Willy
He's a piece
Wonka
of-
turd.
Yeah,
But
I
now
understand
he's
this.
here.
Yeah.
Why?
Huh, maybe
I
we'll find
wonder
out.
why he showed up. But you know, he's got great hair.
No,
Does he?
I think it looks weird. I think it's a. I don't find it to be attractive on him.
Well, he is definitely being out-hotted by the bad guy from the net. Jeremy,
sure.
I know his name. His name is Jeremy Northam, but I'm just going to keep calling him the bad guy from the net.
No, he's the bad net.
Nope. Dismissed. Nope.
Wow, that joke was a puppy's paw, and
Yeah.
Allison was Tony Collette.
No, I don't want that. That is nowhere near a puppy's paw. That was a lizard.
The other end.
The other end is a puppy
Would you
paw.
like to wipe this puppy's asshole?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I really wouldn't.
No.
Okay, we have been dancing around Mr. Allen coming because we touched on him and then we got distracted. So let's talk about Mr. Elton, because we get if any of the arcs in the first part are like well and truly completed, it's Emma tries to matchmake Mr. Elton and Harriet Smith, and it goes disastrously because her head is so far up her ass that she has no idea what's happening. But everybody else does. And he really, really, really loves celery root.
I wrote that one down. It made me
too
laugh so
wonderful.
hard. It's too
So,
wonderful.
how do we feel about the sort of preeminent non-protagonist butthole of this version of Emma, and of all versions of Emma? Well, at least of the first half of all versions of Emma, because man, there's another really great butthole coming. But first half, he's definitely the butthole.
Yes. I feel I'm torn a little bit. He's amazing. Obviously, he's very funny. He's perfect for this part. But because I saw the newest one, the Netflix one, 2019, 2021, that the dude from The Crown,
Josh
I always
Charles.
forget his name.
Josh
Charles, something about the physicality of his performance really stuck with me. And Alan Cummings doesn't have really that side of it, but he's still very, very good. I just don't know if he's going to be my Mr. Elton.
Oh, Amelia can never forgive you.
I think-
Amelia is upset.
I know Josh Charles is. I'm still reckoning with like how can I love both of these adaptations like so much, and like I'm just like I love my children equally. It turns out, like I don't know my new child as well, clearly, but like okay, I'm just gonna give you some Elton line readings that are from the Elton section of my notes.
Yes, hit us.
Um. Okay. So like when we had that wonderful scene when they're walking down the lane and you get the flashbacks to Harriet being a klutz at the Clark's house, fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Let
So
us
funny.
leave.
So
Oh,
funny.
God.
So fun.
Leslie stuck to her shoulder.
So Emma, is trying to, oh yes, I'll tell her, but sat down by the fire. The fire, yes, okay. And then there's this moment. Oh yeah, tell him about the soup, dear. The soup? I really couldn't say. And there's just like you can feel the red hot disdain coming from Alan Cumming as he goes, "Don't be so modest," but trying to still has don't be so modest. The little prattling ding dong. And there's also, oh God, when they're in the carriage going to the Christmas
That
party.
was a
Also,
great scene.
That was.
it's officially
sorry.
canon. Emma's a Christmas movie. Yeah. But like with, where's Miss Smith? A sad loss to our party. She'll be missed at every moment. But I would say, and I hope you will concur, that the small parties are the best. I would prefer to fall short by 2 than exceed by 2. Is like going from the look at me performing how much I care about your friend. But it's fine, right? It's fine.
Yeah,
We're
it's
totally
fine.
gonna make out
We're gonna
later. It's
party.
fine. It reminds me, it occurred to me during the Crowdcast, and I'm sure there are better examples of this. But unfortunately, in the early aughts, I fell prey to Jack Johnson, and there is that one lyric in the whatever the Always Waiting song is. I sang your song, I danced your dance, whatever. I gave your friends all a chance, but putting up with them was never worth never having you. And I feel like that was big Jack Johnson energy of oh, a sad loss to our party.
Deuces.
Deuces. So I think some of Josh Charles, he's almost like a little like a Jack Skellington little spider, humorous spider, which is delightful. But and then there are some things where they're at the party it's that first party when Emma's introducing him to Harriet, but first the Bateses arrive and Miss Bates says doesn't your hair look pretty? Just like an angel. Angel, mother! And it cuts to Alan Cumming, who is taken the direction to look at her hair, and it's just wide-eyed puppy dog, it is the hair of an angel. If you just something, because I've now seen it as we have maybe deduced over 1,000 times. Sometimes it's on the background, just as a comfort noise as I fold laundry, which is different from I'm sitting down taking notes for a podcast watch. But whenever I'm watching it for real, I try to pick somebody new to follow all of their acting choices. And so when you choose an Alan Cumming run, you just see I choose to believe that he's not sure if he's in the shot sometimes. For me, that's a fun game.
Oh yeah.
I am maybe Alan Cumming is treating it like the theater. And so just no reaction is his reactions are perfectly mediated as if he's living in the space. And so for me, for that reason, he's not the golden butthole of this movie for me, but he is my Mr. Collins.
Well, and
Okay.
he's giving it even if he doesn't know if he's playing it as if he's in the shot or not. He's always giving it to the other actors.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You can
That's
tell
great.
that the writer director, whose name escapes me right now, Amelia.
Shit. You talk. I'll find it.
That you can tell he really likes his performance, if only because of the way that they Douglas McGrath, because of the way that they frame him interrupting Emma while she's trying to hear the Frank Churchill letter, because it's just his hand just creeps into the frame and you see a little push and then it travels back and then she turns and the camera moves with her and you see the little boop and then it's just Also,
that was a very
when
funny
he
scene.
silently moves to her side of the carriage and then leans in to whisper, "Allow me."
I love
That carriage scene
So
was
funny.
great.
That carriage scene was so good.
Sit back and kindly refrain from the
whispering.
intimacy of whispering.
Whispering.
Yeah.
My note was Alan Cummings killing it in this barouche box.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really
Nice.
A+. There's a cute baby. Who doesn't love a cute baby that they don't have to take care of?
Thank
Thank
God.
you, baby.
And named after you too. It's Baby Emma. They named, yeah. So like, great. Yeah. Baby's named after me. I'm great
Yeah.
at everything.
I mean,
I mean-
naturally. Makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
You know what? I think maybe the true golden butthole of the first half of this movie is actually the editor, because there are so many good smash cuts that make the jokes funnier, particularly like, oh, maybe I should ask Miss Fairfax. Ding! And then we cut to Emma going, plonk, plonk, plonk. Where thou art laid.
The cut to Tony Collette modeling the Grecian
Yes.
thing.
Was so good.
That
Yeah.
was
Also, the
so
cut
awesome.
from-
the little
The
cuts
cut
were very
from
funny.
Alan Cumming saying, Miss Woodhouse, you have captured her essence perfectly. And then it cuts and there's like the outline of a head and one shoulder.
Yeah, just a pencil
Mr.
sketch so far.
Elton, You exaggerate. I am not, nor cannot.
It's just, it's A+ shit.
It's very fun. This is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in the first half that we haven't talked about that we want to? I'm sure Amelia has points, but before we get to Amelia's, Julie, Janine, is there stuff you want to talk about we haven't addressed yet?
No, I'm all good. I really wanted to talk about Miss Bates and Mr. Elton, so we hit those, and that's
I was wondering, did we spend enough time on Sophie Thompson, Amelia? You said you had an entire corner.
Never. But then, no, I think we got through the corner. I
Okay.
think because all of you were delighted by the napkin bit and the yelling bit.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, and her
that's-
best scene is actually in
yeah,
Act 2.
it's coming up.
It's in back half.
Yeah.
Oh,
You've got some good shit
Janine.
coming.
I can't- I'm looking forward to this.
All right,
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
a cringe.
Amelia.
Oh, I don't know
Oh, we
if I'm
haven't
looking
talked
forward to
about
that.
Mr. Woodhouse. He's funny.
Oh, I love that character. And once again, I was spoiled by the new one because it's Bill Nye. But like, what a fun part to play is to just kind of be a benevolent, kind of above it all, old rich white man that doesn't have to worry about anything, but is worried all the time about
Like-
dying.
Like Mrs. Bennet, but with money and without being such an asshole. Right? Like
Right.
all of the
And just like,
hypochondria, none of the nightmarishness.
Also, all the
Surely
food.
not to be-
He is
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a food police, though. You got to be careful
Mm-hmm.
with that.
Surely they're not serving cake at your wedding. Far
No.
too rich to put us all at peril. Where's Mr. Perry the apothecary? He will support me.
He's over there eating cake.
Sounds some
That
cake.
was a good
Yeah,
scene,
sounds
too.
some cake.
What?
What?
Or then like Frank Churchill's letters like, sounds as though he eats a worrisome amount of custard.
There in the I started rereading the book 2 weeks ago, and there was a sequence where it's from it's kind of like the omniscient narrator talking from Mr. Woodhouse's mind, talking about Miss Taylor leaving their house, right? And how he's never going to find another person, or maybe it was another one of the ladies' maids that moved to another house, never find another person that opened and closed the doors just quiet enough to not rattle my nerves. And like to think of somebody who specifically is like, I'm gonna miss that girl because she could really close a door.
I think I'm going to become that old person.
Oh,
at
yeah,
some
you
point.
definitely
'Cause that's
are.
a thing with me sometimes.
I
I'm
mean,
definitely gonna
Janine,
become
let me
that
put
old
it this
person.
way.
It's a
There
fun
was-
character.
When you brought up
Yeah.
the dogs, before you said exactly what your concern was, it could have been one of two things. It could have been the dogs might get hit by an arrow, or it could have been Mr. Knightley
Yeah.
does not have those dogs on a leash.
That's their property.
Okay.
and
Yeah,
they can do
maybe
whatever
not
they
it's a
want with the
public
dogs.
park. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when it's not a public park and like there's people walking around and like, come on, I'm not
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
big of a dick. But
No.
also, keep your dog. on a
Neither is
goddamn
Mr.
leash.
Woodhouse,
not a
though. He's
dick.
not a dick. He's just kind of like a
Curmudgeon.
Yeah.
funny curmudgeon-y, but
Yeah.
like kind, like really kind, but also very. And the whole thing of the getting him in his chair by the fire and how everyone knows their role.
Yeah,
Like
that
I
was,
pull the blanket, I pour the port, I make sure the footstool is in the right place. That
that
shit
what-
is funny.
that is
Yeah.
a dream of mine as the future old person I'm going to be about doors. Is someone knows how to do all that too with me.
Yeah, just, the chair
Just-
goes here, the
just-
blanket comes from this side.
Mm.
This is very obviously his chair.
Yeah.
Nobody else sits there.
Mm-mm.
Like, yeah.
It's got a little bit of Frasier energy.
Yes, it does have a little bit of Fraser, Mr. Crane.
You know, he
energy,
just
Marty
needs an
Crane.
Eddie.
That's all.
Have a dog live in the
Never.
house? No.
But import
Absolutely
disease.
not. They import disease like babies. That shit was funny. That
really
character
funny.
is so funny. Remind me, I know that the actor that plays Nick Tortelli plays Mr. Woodhouse in Clueless. He's not. Is he a
No.
hypochondriac, or is
he's
he
a
more
busy lawyer
Okay.
who doesn't really know how to be a dad. Yeah, very different.
Okay. So they kind of
Dan
sub it out.
Hedaya.
Sub it out a little.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to get to the clueless portion of events.
Mm-hmm.
Amelia,
Mm-hmm.
what did we miss that we simply must talk
Yes.
about?
Clean it up.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going through my notes here. Well, first I would like to quickly
Please.
tell on myself. So this movie is what introduced me to the concept of letters as a matter of public record. Pull it out at a party, read it with your friends, and as a result, did I definitely like print out AOL Instant Messenger exchanges? Because I thought that was just like a normal thing that that grown-ups did. Yeah.
Amelia.
Oh, I like once rolled into middle school with like a dossier.
Yes,
name
girl, you had the
messages from a boy to be.
Wow.
I had the receipts, and I just thought that was a sophisticated grown-up thing to do.
Oh.
So, not that any of those boys are listening, but I'm sorry.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
wow.
Okay. I feel like we haven't really talked about Gwyneth's performance.
Yeah.
Or do you want to save that for part 2? We could also
I
do
think
that at
we
the
can
end.
do both. We will obviously spend a lot of time talking about Gwyneth's performance.
I had the little bit about how she at the beginning I was like, but then she's been winning me over slowly but surely throughout.
Yeah,
I was a
okay.
little bit nervous about her accent, but it's settled in and it's fine. She really gets, and I think I said this earlier too, she really gets the like snobbery, like really, really hard, really good. And she's almost mean. And Allison's right. It's not that she's trying to be mean. She's just trying to be real.
Yeah.
And
But it's her
really like,
reality.
jarring.
Oh, Emma.
Yeah.
She I think she did a really nice job when they're reading Robert Martin's letter. She's like, "Oh, it is a good letter. Wow." You said he was a
His
farmer?
sister
yeah,
must
his
have
sisters
written
must
it.
have written
Helped
it.
it.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I can't.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she's doing well.
I do too.
I think she's doing well.
Yeah, me too. Fun fact, she and Toni Collette were both 24 when they made, or at least when this came out. So they're the same age. It's an interesting idea.
I did not know that.
That is surprising. You just don't connect that.
They're
Wow.
I would always assume that Toni Collette was a few years older. And I just
Yeah.
think that's because she has the parts she has played have been so varied and like all over the place that
well,
it just
she's
makes her
an
seem
actor's
older
actor.
or something.
Like
Yeah.
she's she's an actor's actor.
Super good.
Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow is
Yeah.
a movie star.
Which is
Right,
not to
and
say
Toni Collette
that
is an actor.
Gwyneth Paltrow cannot also be good.
She's
She
bad.
is sometimes very good.
No.
But Toni Collette never misses.
Not as good.
And you
Yeah,
can
not as
give
good as
her
Toni Collette.
anything to do, and she will do it.
Mhm.
She's just fucking great in everything. How is it possible that she's the best one in The Sixth Sense? I don't know, but she is. She's definitely the
totally
best part
is.
of The Sixth Sense.
Yes, she is.
I don't know how. Or About a Boy? No, that's not true. It's Hugh Grant. She's the second best part of About a Boy. Hugh Grant.
All right, what else did we miss, Amelia?
I mean, otherwise, I'm just kind of in the potpourri section, so I'm trying to be choosy so we don't keep talking for 97 more hours, which I could do, and I will not do that to you. Allison, I have a question since you've been so deep into like Regency history factoids. So we know that like
Did Everyday Life
yes,
in
there's
Regency and Victorian England, the book, give it away? Or was it The Season, A
Okay,
Social
so-
History of the Debutante?
I asked for that for Christmas.
Well, now I have to.
Yeah,
read
I know
it.
it's good.
So we'll discuss.
Okay. All right. So we know that like the balls, all these ball scenes, we know that everyone's like staying up until like dawn and then going home. That makes sense. But when Emma throws that party at the beginning, and it's like the scene where like the Westons leave and Mr. Woodhouse is like, poor Miss Taylor, she so obviously wanted to stay. It was that once, like just like people came over for dinner. Mr. Elton was trying to was it like a clam or a nut or something before putting it down and going, any friend of Miss Woodhouse's is okay. So that party. When the Westons are leaving, I noticed this on my last calming focused rewatch. But he is talking to someone and is gives the most sincere looking yawn. And while I know that filming days can go long and maybe that was just Alan Cumming getting caught yawning, it made me wonder, well, would a house party of that size also be a dawn rager?
Doesn't Mr. Woodhouse have a thing in the book where he's like, everybody's got to leave at 9? Doesn't he have
it would not be.
Because he's he loves having people over, but he never wants them to stay late. I remember that about his character because he wants to make sure he's in bed.
Mr. Knightley stays late because Mr. Knightley is family.
Family.
But
family.
No.
Mm-hmm. So that's the way it is in that
however,
family.
I do think you can read any time that Mr. Elton is oh, I'm so tired. I think it is reasonable to read that as him trying to get an invitation to stay the night, because that is definitely a thing that would happen, right?
Ooh,
There is a point in the book at which Harriet gets her own room at Hartfield because she's staying over so often. So she has a room that is reserved for her, and it is Harriet's room. So I think it is reasonable to assume that anytime Mr. Elton is wow, is it just me or is it tired in here? That he's angling.
Yeah.
He's just
He just wants a room
so that he can stay alongside his beloved, who he definitely doesn't love. She's just rich. Mm-hmm. And very pretty.
And I guess so pretty. Is it? This is actually this. This is more of a joke for a joke's sake and not really what I think of Gwyneth Paltrow's acting. But is Gwyneth Paltrow, at least in this role, kind of neck acting? I feel like so much of it is just posture. And
she does have beautiful posture.
Which I think is why acting totally. Which is why I think it's so striking when she bends all the way over to kiss Harriet's hand in that scene where she's apologizing. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's part of why I thought it was so moving, because she's so upright. And the only times that we really see her go inside herself are when Frank Churchill does not come and sit with her after they duet at the party, when she's furiously looking out the window in the carriage after she's been proposed to. She's like, oh, look at the snow. And then when she bends all the way over. Oh, and also when she's helping at the Clark's house, she is sort of bent. But most of the time she's totally upright because she is fully convinced that she is in the right at all times. Even when she's oh, Mrs. Weston, the most dreadful thing has happened. Luckily, I dissuaded her from Robert Martin. Well done, Emma. And I was like, no, you were so close. You were so close. Yeah. Back it up. Back it up. Anyway.
But yeah, she does have a very, Allison's right, upright posture. And her neck is very long.
Mm-hmm. Right. I like that. I like that as a point, Amelia.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And there's one final thought that we might have fun unpacking, and then I will stop fucking talking as much. I know that every time I come on this fucking podcast, I tend to bring up the written by Meryl Streep but put into the movie by Greta Gerwig talk about marriage as an economic proposition. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the closest we get to that in at least this Emma is where the archery scene and how Emma is talking about you discount her beauty and her sweetness as if men do not find these to be the greatest, the traits or something that a woman can possess. And Mr. Knightley is arguing well, men of sense, whatever you may say, do not want silly wives. And it's just so interesting that Emma clearly doesn't, right, she's still fucking up people's lives. She's still not doing a great job of matchmaking. But to have that insight into the extent of her understanding of personal woman economy, and to have Mr. Knightley not really take that as a point, as if you don't want a hot wife, as if you don't want a nice wife.
Right.
No, you're totally right. Everyone's marrying smarties. Yeah.
Just for their own sense, right? No.
Yeah, that's why Miss Bates is on her 7th husband. She's so smart that, You know, they've all just perished from the weight of having to think deep. You know, like what in the shit? So I would love if anyone has any thoughts about like, well, Emma kind of knows what the market's really about. And Mr.
I think
Knightley
she
doesn't. I think she understands
I
qualities that men find attractive in women, but she completely misreads what that actually means for men. Like in a meaner version of this book, maybe Mr. Elton would fuck around with Harriet Smith, right? Because she doesn't matter. She's below him. The issue is it's not even really the money, although I think the money is part of it. It's that he's a social climber and she brings nothing to the table except for that she's pretty and sweet. But that's not a priority for him. For him specifically. For other people, sure. But for Mr. Elton specifically, he is not interested in pretty and sweet. Those are bonuses for a big fat check and social climbing.
There was that moment outside of, just before they ran into the vicar and the celery root scene happened, where Harriet was like, I'm worried about you. You're not married. And Emma was like, well.
Why would I?
I'm fine.
I think she gets it from her perspective. There's no reason for her to get married.
And I think that's the blinder there, right? Like what Allison's saying. She doesn't get it from anybody else's perspective, really, because she's only viewing it from her perspective, where she's well off and fine, and like she just has to be these things. She's choosing not to go and pursue anybody. But these are the things that people want out of me.
Well, and
because I'm
Harriet
so perfect.
Smith is, to Emma, below her notice, but she likes her, so she's taking an interest, so she's making her a project, which makes her closer to Emma's level, while other people don't see that. Mr. Knightley is the one who looks at her and sees the person, and how the person is changing and growing, and how there are things about her friendship with Emma that are obviously good for her, although not many. I think Emma is totally wrong to discourage Harriet from marrying Robert Martin, not just because she obviously wants to,
yes,
but because that is a respectable match, and Harriet's not going to have all that many offers at respectable marriages, because hanging out with Emma does not make up for the fact that no one knows who your parents are. Like, just straight up does not. And you read the rest of Austen's books and you're like, wow, okay. So the fact that Emma never really brings this up, and she always just says, oh, well, she's a gentleman's daughter. And the reason she thinks she's a gentleman's daughter is because she's hanging out with Emma Woodhouse, who only hangs out with gentlemen's daughters. It's like she's got huge blinders because she sees her reality and not other people's reality. She also, I think, as evidenced by her taking credit for the Weston marriage, it tends to see these things as sort of stories that she's putting into motion, which explains her interest in Frank Churchill, because wouldn't it be a wonderful story if she essentially married Mrs. Weston's stepson, right? Who is also rich and handsome and sophisticated and all of these other things, which bumps him up in her view, right? Like, he would make a good story. So it's not actually even about whether or not she likes him. It just makes sense that that's how they would go, which is not great. If you're interested in that argument, there is an entire television series about exactly this problem. It's called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's about thinking that what you need is to exist in the right story, when really you just need to work on yourself. Emma, get a therapist.
Work on yourself, girl.
Emma, be better.
I feel like we cannot possibly end on a better note than the incorporation of although I did want to make this point. Here, if you want a distillation of the difference between Emma Woodhouse and Elizabeth Bennet, besides common sense and money, it's that when prompted to play the pianoforte at a party, Elizabeth Bennet is like, no, LOL, no, I suck. And then Lady Catherine's like, no, you have to. She's like, fine, but I suck. And then no one cares because she's so charming, right? Whereas Emma's like, oh no, I'm not very good. We could ask Jane to play boom, 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 boom. Because she is actually about all about the ego. and Elizabeth Bennet, for all of her talk about her pride being wounded, is only proud of some things and not other things. Also, she's prejudiced. Psst. She's both. She's both.
The title of the book.
So that was part 1 of Emma. Next week, we will be looking at part 2, which, if you are watching from home and not along with us, we are picking back up right after the dueling pianos. So after Ewan McGregor climbs
Jane Fairfax
on top
comes
of
to
some
town.
rooftop in France and co-ops Elton John's entire catalog, right there. I hate that movie. Sorry. Of course you do, you sap. It's about love, guys. Okay. You can tell us what you think about Moulin Rouge and my particular hot take by finding us on Twitter at SickBurnJane, but also at PodlanderCast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/PodlanderCast. You can find us on Instagram at Amelia. Where are all the places they can find us on Instagram?
Sickburn Jane, Podlandercast, or if you want to get all of your network news in one place, that would be Podlander Presents.
And Amelia has been doing some cool shit with our Insta, so go take advantage of it because I don't understand it. That's not true. I like engaging with it, but I'm like, how'd you do that? I don't know. I don't have brain space to contemplate this right now. It's because she's good. You can also find us at Patreon, patreon.com/PodlanderDrinkcast, where you can support the show, get access to bonus episodes, including a new series of bonus episodes that we are starting, that we are tentatively calling What Now?
What now?
Where we talk about something that has nothing to do with Outlander or Jane Austen. In this case, the very first episode, which you can find on Patreon sometime soon, is about hotness. So come listen to that. You can also join our Slack, which is the best, and you've heard me talk about it a million times, so there's the Slack. We want to thank all of our patrons. The show is really expensive. We couldn't do it without you, but we especially want to thank the following lovely folks. Jess Bree, Catswa156, Maddie Perkins, Snazzynack, Lisa Brienne, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Madison Johnson, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Ashley Tegas, and Kristen Freckled, Fury, Laura Colm, Amelia Buzzell, Liz and Tinkerbell, Stella Welch, Tori Halligan, Claire Feeney, Rochelle Lefevre, Amanda Smizza, Heather Robbins, Jerry Hurdle, Emily Carlson, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Kelly Mazzella, Chantal Salters, Mary the Falling Statue, Tara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, a.k.a. Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Jenna Pulkowski, Ann Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Kara Marlowe, Trish McCurry, Julie DeToit, Jen Lynn, Kelly Bodden, Amanda Newton, and Kiki the Wise. Thank you so much for all your support as always. We will be back next week to talk about the real golden butthole of Emma, among many other fun characters. Will Emma wind up married? Who knows? Will she find a love? Who knows? What will become of Harriet Smith? Will she perhaps be set upon by gypsies? Who knows? Spoiler. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.